Hello and welcome to lesson 13.2. We're going to start out with finding range and then move to finding standard deviation. Range is the largest minus the smallest. So we have two different machines here and they represent soda dispersed. So we're going to look in machine 1, this first column, and find our largest number and our smallest number. So our largest number minus our smallest is 10.07 minus 5.85, which gives us 4.22 ounces. Go ahead and look at machine 2. Find the largest and the smallest, and go ahead and subtract those. All right, hopefully you found the largest to be 8.03 and your smallest to be 7.95. So 8.03 minus 0.95 hopefully gives you 0.08 ounces. Range, largest minus smallest, and that's all there is to it. Now we're going to talk about deviations. And if we just look at machine 2's values, 8.01, 7.99, 7.95, 8.03, and 8.2. Can't see it very well, but this says that the mean, or X bar, is equal to 8.0. So we want to look at how different each of those values is from the mean. Those are called the deviations. So between 8.01 and 8 is 0.01. 7.99 and 8 is negative 0.01, and so forth. Some of those values are positive and some are negative. We want to be able to figure out the standard deviation, and in order to do that, we're going to end up squaring all of these numbers, squaring, so that they will all be positive. Okay, so let's look through our process for finding the standard deviation. There are 5 steps that we're going to follow. So example 1, we just found the range of each of these 2 machines. So let's just write those down here so that we have that value written down. Machine number 1 was 4.22 ounces. And then machine number 2 was 0.08 ounces. Now we're going to use a smaller set of numbers just to give us less steps. So we're going to use the set of numbers that are here. I'm going to fix this so you can see the steps and the numbers. So write these down: 2, 4, 7, 12, and 15. Step number 1 says determine the mean for the n numbers. So hopefully you remember, to find the mean, we're going to add all of the numbers. And then divide by how many numbers there are. So let me make this just a little bit smaller so we can keep this up here. So how many numbers are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to divide by 5. Well, add up these numbers on your calculator. Hopefully you get 40. divided by 5, which is 8. This is the mean, and we're going to use the variable notation for the mean of x bar. Okay. All right. Next step. For each number, calculate the deviation or difference between that number and the mean of the numbers. So for step number 2, I'm going to make a little table. And I'm going to put an extra column in it because we're going to need it in a few minutes. And in the first column, we're going to put x. And in the second column, x minus x bar. Again, x bar is the mean. So we're going to write down each of these numbers: 2, 4, 7, 12, and 15. I'm going to take 2 minus the mean, which is 8, and get negative 6. 4 minus the mean, which is 8, and get negative 4. 7 minus 8, negative 1. 12 minus 8, 4. And 15 minus 8 is 7. Step 2, for each number, calculate the deviation or difference between the number and the mean. Step 3, calculate the square of each deviation and then find the sum of these squared deviations. So you're going to take the value that's in that second column and we're going to square it. When you square a negative number, you get a positive. So negative 6 squared is 36. Negative 4 squared is 16. And remember, when we square a number, we're taking it times itself. Negative 1 squared is 1. 4 squared, also 16. And 7 squared is 49. Now we want to add up all of those values. So go ahead and grab your calculator. 36 plus 16 plus 1 plus 16 plus 49. And what is that sum? 118. So step number 2 and step number 3 made up our table. Step number 4. If the data is from a population, divide the sum by n. If it's from a sample, divide by n minus 1. Well, it says the following numbers were obtained by sampling a population. So circle sample and put 4, number 4, use n minus 1. Because we have a sample here. N represents the number of numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For the mean, we divided by 5. For step 4, since it's a sample, we're going to divide by n minus 1. So for step 4, we take 118 divided by 4, because we have 1 less than the 5 numbers. Hopefully you get 29.5. And then step 5, find the square root of this quotient from step 4. Square root of 29.5 is 5.4. This is called the standard deviation. You do need to be prepared to do this on the test. Okay. Now, this number that we took the square root of, 29.5, also has a special name. Note, square root of 29.5 equals 5.4. This number, the 29.5, is called the variance. There are going to be problems that ask you to find the standard deviation and other problems that ask you to find the variance. When you find the variance, you just stop here and don't take the square root. The number 29.5 then is that answer. All right, and then we're going to try a problem from start to finish where we're going to find the standard deviation, the mean, and we might as well go ahead and write down the variance as we do it. So here is our problem. It says fuel efficiency. Fuel efficiency in miles per gallon of 10 small utility trucks was measured, and the results are in the table. Okay, so let's look at our data. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's a small problem we're going to fix really quickly. There are not 10 trucks, but 12. Okay, that represents N. N is 12. So let's keep that in mind. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is find the mean, the sample standard deviation, and I'm going to add, we're also going to find the variance. Okay, so let's do it. First step, find the mean. Take the numbers 22, 25, 23, 27, and so forth, and go ahead and add them up. There are two 24s, 32, then there's 23, 22, a 25, and another 22. For mean, we always divide by n. How many numbers are there? And in this case, there are 12. Okay. Give you just a minute to do that. Pause the video if you need to. I'm going to go ahead and add mine while you're doing it. All right, when I add all of these numbers up, I get a sum of 284. And I'm going to divide by 12 to find the mean. Remember, mean is x bar. And I got 23.6 repeating. And it says round to the nearest hundredth. So I'm going to do 0.67. All right, for step 2, we're going to make our little table. I'm just going to get a new piece of paper. So our table needs 3 columns. The first column represents each of the numbers that we have. And I'm just going to write those down here. Again, on your paper, go ahead and write those down as well. So our first column is X. Our second column is X minus X bar, which is the mean. And then our third column is where we're going to take that answer and square it. So we're going to write down 22 minus 23.67, 25 minus 23.67, 23 minus 23.67, and keep going all the way down. And I'm doing this problem with you, but feel free to pause the video if you need extra time. Now, when I subtract, I'm going to take my answer and square it before I write anything down, just to save a little time. So I didn't go ahead and go all the way down and subtract, but you can do that. I'm going to go 22 minus 23.67. And then whatever answer I get on the screen, I'm going to square it. And I'm going to write down the whole answer. So 2.7889. Again, I'm taking this number minus this one, taking the answer on my calculator and squaring it. All answers should be positive because when you square a negative number, you always will get a positive. Again, just keep going. Make sure you're typing in the right number each time. $27 is where I'm at. One thing you want to keep in mind is that you don't want to round until the end whenever possible. Sometimes it isn't possible to keep all the decimal places. It's always going to be the most accurate. And I'm going to go ahead and draw a line right here so that I don't get off on my numbers. And we're going to notice that some of these are repeated, and we're not going to have to do it each time. So 24 minus 23.67, square your answer, 0.1089. Well, that's going to be the same one here. We haven't done 32 yet, so 32 minus 23.67, square it, 69.3889. But 23, we've already done up here, so I can just copy that one, 0.4489. 22, we've already done, 2.7889. 25, we've already done. And there's 22 again. Okay. Step number 4, find the sum of all of those numbers. So this is going to take a few minutes. Again, if you need extra time, pause the video. Otherwise, just do it while I'm doing it. If at any time your calculator runs out of space, like it won't let you add another number, just hit equals or enter, and then hit plus again, and it'll add to the previous answer. A couple students I had last semester had that issue with their calculator. All right, again, when you get your sum, we're going to write that down here. I got 168.6668. All right, the next step says to take that number and divide it by n-1 if it's a sample. Well, let's go back to the problem and make sure. It says the fuel efficiency miles per gallon of 12 small utility trucks was measured. So it is a sample. And if you had any question as to whether or not it was, it tells you right here to find the sample standard deviation. Okay. All right, so we're going to divide by one less. So there were 12 trucks. So we're going to take 168.6668 divided by 11. This number is going to be called our variance. Okay. I'm going to grab my calculator. I get 15.3 repeating, then 4545. So I'm just going to write down 15.33. 2 decimal places are always plenty for me, unless it asks for something different. And this problem did ask us to round to the nearest hundredth, which is 2 decimal places. And then to find the standard deviation, we're going to take the square root of this number, 15.33, which is called our variance. Square root 15.33 is 3.915. So 3.92, again, if we round to 2 decimal places. So let's talk through the 5 steps one more time. I'm going to put them back up. You need to pause the video and jot them down. Now would be a good time. Number 1, determine the mean of n numbers. Number 2, calculate the deviation or difference between the number and the mean. Number 3, calculate the square of each deviation and find the sum of the squared deviations. 4, if it's a population, divide by n. If it's a sample, divide by n-1. We're almost always going to have a sample. And then 5, find the square root of the quotient from step 4. So in our problem, we found the mean. Just going to put each of these back up here. So if you want to pause it and jot anything down. And then we found the variance and standard deviation. All right, you should be able to do your homework for lesson 13-2, and I hope that you have a great night.